وديم بها بلاهي حبها ليعابر في فؤادي وناهي أهو الخلاني ينطق بالجواهر فاهي.
Welcome back to an exciting episode of Journey to Islam. This is your host, Abu Naima, also known as Brother Skari, and we wish you enjoy. Please share, also subscribe, and once again, hit that like button. One of our guests with us, the actual host and the author of the channel called The Syndicate that I spoke of on the Bowtie Chronicles just recently when we talked about repatriation, is none other than the brother Riza 876, also known as Brother Muqtada. How you doing, my brother?
Alhamdulillah ala kulli hal. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And so, without further ado, we're going to go right into these questions and get the beautiful story of how you made that journey and how that journey has made you the man that you are today. Okay. So, first of all, tell the people where you're from.
From Providence, Rhode Island, born and raised.
Okay. Okay. Have you ever traveled outside of Rhode Island?
Yes. I've been all down the eastern seaboard, down to Florida. Okay. I haven't been out west.
Okay.
But,
so your family is predominantly from Rhode Island.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. And so, going into your younger days before Islam, how was your upbringing as far as your family life and so forth, and setup?
I was primarily raised in a single parent home. My parents separated when I was, what I would say, 7, 8 years old. Okay. And at that time in Providence, that wasn't the norm.
Okay. Okay.
In the mid 80s, Providence had households with black folk that had fathers in the homes.
Yeah.
So all my friends had fathers in the home.
Yeah.
So that wasn't the norm.
Okay.
Nonetheless,
so what do you think was the what do you think caused that situation to change? You said it happened around the 80s. What caused that situation to change in Rhode Island?
I believe it was crack, the crack epidemic.
Okay. Okay.
It hit 86-ish,
okay.
87-ish.
Okay.
And it hit hard. It hit hard.
Yeah. It hit California real hard also, and devastated a lot of households. So I know exactly what you're talking about. So right around that time, or was it before that time, or around that time that your parents separated? And what, if I don't want to ask too much, and if you something.
No, feel free, big brother. Feel free, big brother.
Okay. So what were the circumstances that brought about that the separation or the change, and how did it affect you?
My stepfather. He was my stepfather. He was actually the father of my 4 younger siblings. Okay. An awesome man. Okay. He had a drinking problem.
Okay.
But he was a genius. He was a former Navy. Okay. He scored at the genius level on his IQ.
Wow. Okay.
He taught me my multiplication tables in the 2nd grade, and I still remember them to this day. Like 8 times 8, 64. Oh, 9 times 7, 63. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how all of it. Yeah, that's how we learned it. Yeah, that's how we learned
Yes. 2nd grade, he taught me that. So he was a genius. I remember watching Jeopardy with him, and he would answer every question. So but he had a drinking problem.
Okay.
He was part Native American, Narragansett Indian. Up here in Rhode Island, we got Narragansetts, Pequots, Wampanoag. So he was Narragansett. So he had a drinking problem. Daddy had a drinking problem. So him and mom's, I guess it got to the point where it was like, all right, enough's enough. You know, they were fighting a lot, and that hurt. That hurt. And I remember the day he left.
Oh,
I remember the day he left. I was the oldest of 5 children, and you know, my mother, they got into it, and she was like, "Today's the day." And she just threw a table on him, boom, and his back was bloody. And I'll never forget that image with Daddy sitting on the stairs with his white shorts and blood coming down his back, and cops came, you know, escorted him out, and he was awesome. He used to kidnap us. That's how much he loved us. He used to kidnap us for a couple of days. You know what I'm saying? You know, he passed in 2013. I mean, but he was an awesome man because he treated me like I was his own, and I never knew he wasn't my biological father until the age of 10.
Okay, subhanAllah.
You know, that's why my mother decided to tell me that. She called me into a room and she said, you know, Daddy is really not your biological father. I was 10 years old. And I remember asking her, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, why isn't he my father?
Yeah, how?
You know, like, I like, how? You know, I want him to be my father.
Yeah.
And she said, well, so-and-so's your father. Now, she started introducing me to my biological father at the age of, I would say, like 7-ish.
Okay.
You know, like I'd go over to my grandmother's house where he stayed, and she started like that before she broke the news to me.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You know, and so from that point, you know, back in those days in the 80s in Providence, I remember the elderly Black man presence. It was strong in Providence and throughout the 80s. You know, you'd be walking down, you see Mr. So-and-so, you wave at him, he's on his porch with a rocking chair. That was a common scene in the 80s in Providence. Whereas in other parts of the country, the dynamics of the Black family
had
broke up before that, you know?
Yeah, I think that could only be present around that time. It was still present in a lot of the South. You know what I mean? Yeah, in a lot of the South. But up in the north, in the areas that we were at, where you had major cities and you had those situations where, you know, certain elements were actually going against the family structure, I think that, it kind of moved to kind of like break up the family and kind of like push the man out, so to speak.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So from that point forward, so it was just you, moms, and your younger siblings.
Yes, sir. Now she had mom's had she would, you know, back in those days, a lot of sisters weren't like, at least in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
They weren't in and out of different boyfriends every couple of months. It was like long-term living boyfriends that were kind of like stepfathers.
Sisters had sisters at least at that particular time, they had a more compass. They knew what needed to be around their kids. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had a stepfather. You know, I had a stepfather, long term. So I always had a male presence in my life coming up.
Okay.
You know, those are different times. You know, I remember sisters back in those days braids, real braids, beads in their hair. You know, it was just a different experience, a different sight.
Yeah. Unlike today. Yeah.
Unlike today.
Yeah, unlike today.
And brothers too. It wasn't no sagging pants.
Yeah.
Not like it is now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Always went to school with a belt on, you know.
Yeah.
Vaseline all over your face, you know.
Yeah, you know what? Those are some distinguishing things. Is that I remember specifically being taught as in elementary school that every day when you get dressed for school and you put on your shirt, you make sure you got on a t-shirt.
Come
you
on.
know what I mean? These are just certain things that I was.
Come on.
And so
Come on now.
But I try to, try to teach some of these things to one brother, and he wasn't, I mean, he was already like 17 or 18, and he was kind of like, why? You know what I mean? And it was like, you can't teach him something that's fundamental if he didn't receive it or he thinks that, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. So and this is late in the game. I think this brother's like 20 something. I told him, so why you don't wear a shirt? He's like, why wear a t-shirt? You know what I mean? I got on a shirt already. I said, but that's not how you're supposed to wear a shirt. You know what I mean? You're supposed to wear a shirt with a t-shirt so as to collect sweat, not damage.
Right. There you go.
Try to teach it, and he was like, why you do that? You know what I mean? So I'm like, why I'm a dirty two shirts? I was okay. He didn't have that because he didn't have a man around to actually teach him that. You know what I mean?
Facts.
That's very important. So at some point, you is it your stepfather that directed you towards a higher level of consciousness? Because where I'm getting at is that for most of us on our journey to Islam, there's some things that happen before that prepare you for a level of consciousness so that you can accept that when it comes. Other than that, it comes, and if your level of consciousness isn't there, you still can't really receive it the way it Right. So what was that process of awakening? That's what I'm
I would say it started around 12-ish.
Okay.
And at this point, I had already been formally told who my biological father was. And if I'm not mistaken, if I can go back that far, either him or one of my uncles was listening to Minister Farrakhan.
Okay.
And it appealed to me. And I'm 12 years old now.
Okay.
So there was a brother in the nation who had a store in our neighborhood in South Side of Providence. Brother Dawood, Brother Dave. And ironically, Brother Dawood, Brother Dave used to play in the same band as my grandfather, Tony Gomes. They played in the same band. Okay. So in any case, I would go by, stop through and buy some oils. He used to sell a little, I thought and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Egyptian mustard, the usuals back then.
Okay.
Blue Nile, you know.
Oh my goodness! You going back now? Hey, I'm knowing because I used to sell oils like so I'm knowing.
I used to sell oils too.
So hey, Blue Nile was like a sale that was just off the charts. I used to make.
Come on now.
Hey man, if you got a history from the streets and you know how to flip a coin, you know what I'm saying? When you decide to get your life together, certain elements don't leave you. So yeah,
no doubt. Yes.
Oils and incense is just like, it becomes like second nature because you're already familiar with the block anyway. Yeah. So
there you go. No doubt.
Okay.
So, and then he would also sell Minister Farrakhan cassettes. So I would buy them.
Okay.
And that was the beginning of my, I would call it my black consciousness. Okay. And like a knowledge of self, a more profound knowledge of self.
Okay.
I mean, as an 8-9-year-old kid in the neighborhood, I had West African friends from Liberia. So they introduced me to the whole African thing.
Okay.
So, but I'm talking in terms of my consciousness as a black man here in America and in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
It started at 12 years old.
Which is a different distinction.
Right.
Now we coming into a reality where a lot of people now are not really making that distinction, and I think that our people got kind of duped with the whole Obama thing, but I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna let that go, and we're gonna get back to you because I'm gonna let that go.
I feel you on that. But yeah,
remember we gotta cut it up about that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. On that.
No doubt.
Yeah. So boom. So you start getting an awareness of self. Okay.
Right. Yes.
And so from there, what happened? You know?
Okay. I remember now I'm going into the age of 13-ish.
Okay. Man, you started early, mashallah. Ooh.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, just then I grew dreadlocks. I started reading books on the Black Panthers. Okay. And then I also became in touch with because I'm primarily African American, but I also have some Cape Verdean ancestry.
Okay.
So,
okay.
So you know, three of my great.
For all of those people out there that was wondering about that little accent, okay, I'm just, you know, because I was gonna say something, but I was, let you, get around to that, you know what I mean? But go ahead.
Yeah, that accent thing. I'm around so many people right now from different countries. You know, you get into the habit of talking with an accent so they can understand you.
Yeah.
So you pronounce every little word and syllable. But in any case, yes, that's a part of. So I got more into that aspect of my ancestry. You know, now the Cape Verde Islands, those of you who don't know, are a group of islands in West Africa, former Portuguese colony for about 400 years. And a lot of them, in case you didn't know, a lot of the Moors, when the Moors were expulsed from Spain and Portugal, a lot of them were exiled to Cape Verde. There are mountains in Cape Verde that have Arabic inscription. You know what I'm saying? So that's some other history.
Yeah.
But in any case, I got more into that, which drew me more. I was beginning to merge my Black African American consciousness into the greater diaspora, like the Africa, Caribbean. So I began to, listening to more reggae and just starting to really engulf all of the different aspects of us as a people.
Yeah.
So now I'm 14. Now I'm 14 now. Dreadlocks, African medallions, Ifa, stats, all that.
Yeah, okay.
And I was in a library, and I'm in the library by myself. Nobody else was there that day.
14.
Just me. 14. Yes,
Get
sir.
it all the books are yours.
Yes.
Everybody else on the block, you
yeah.
The library was dry back then. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know how it was back then in the early 90s, late 80s.
Oh man.
And that's how it was. And I was reading a book I was reading a book on the Black Panthers called Black Power. And I forgot the author. I think it was Johnny Siegel or
Bobby
one of the Panthers. Bobby, yes.
Yeah,
Bobby Seals. Yes.
Okay.
So it was a book that I believe he authored on the Black Panthers that had a black fist. So I'm reading it now. And now, ironically, that day, an elder walks into the library.
Oh.
To return some books. And he had a Black Panther, what do you call those things? Beret? What do you call those hats they used to wear?
A beret.
Yes.
But in some places they call them a tam or something like that. But same thing, same meaning.
Okay. Well, he had one of those on.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, this is deep. This is a Black Panther.
Okay.
So I walk up to him, and I'm like, I'm 14. Excuse me, sir. Are you a Black Panther? He says no, but I'm a Muslim. I said, oh, okay. Now this elder was political peace father.
Whoa, okay.
Sharif Jamil Abdul Salam Sokar Hotep. And what drew me to him was his demeanor, his upright demeanor. He resembled the guys, the men I was reading about in a lot of these books I was reading.
Okay.
So we exchanged numbers. He started picking me up, taking me different places, giving me pamphlets and all that kind of stuff. Now, my best friend at that time was a Muslim, but he really wasn't on his deen like that. So he never really had any influence on me in that regard. So I still wasn't ready, though. I wasn't ready. Now I'm 14. So between the age of 14 and 16, I was just doing the house party thing, going to parties with my boys. You know, we doing that thing, you know. And I was freshman in high school. So, you know, I'm going through that stage.
Yeah.
So, but I used to question myself. I remember questioning myself the day after a house party, the morning after a house party. I'm like, man, there's gotta be something more to life than this. I mean, I go to the party, get home at 3 a.m, go to sleep, wake up, and like, this is boring. There's gotta be, I feel empty. I feel a void. So I stopped eating pork. I started doing this stinja on my own, just with my own, just consciously. Someone was telling me, you should be cleaning yourself versus just using paper. Excuse my, you know, I know y'all don't want me to be too graphic, y'all, but keeping it real. So, you know, consciousness raises in degrees. So I'm getting closer and closer to that point where I'm ready to embrace Islam.
Okay.
So here I am. I'm 16 years old now. And subhanallah. That day, it was a summer day, July 7, 1993. I was 16. I just turned 16. And I woke up that day, Matthew Correa, you know, son of Judy Correa and Antonio Gomes. In the backyard, no shirt on, shorts. You know, it was hot. I'm in the hood. I'm just out. I'm just chilling. You know, I was never really into anything, but I'm still from the hood. So, you know, I'm just out there. And then Political Peace father drove by. Sharif Abdul Salam, Sokal Hotep. He drove by. And I noticed his little van. He had a little van back in those days. And I'm in my back. I'm saying, oh, that's Brother Sharif. So I called out to him. I says, Brother Sharif. And he stopped. He said, oh, he stopped. I came running to his van. And he says, hey, because he was always full of energy, always. And always positive. And that appealed to me as well. So he said, hey! I said, hey! Gave him a big hug. I said, I'm ready to become a Muslim today. He said, today? Right now? I said, right now. Wallahi al-azim. And I went inside the house, put a shirt on. We hopped into his van. He drove me to the Sheikh's house, the Imam, the one who was my first Sheikh, Al-Haji Muritala Akorede from Ibadan, Nigeria.
So you had direct contact with a West African sheikh as soon as you became Muslim.
Wallahi al-azim. Yes, sir.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing right there. Yeah, that's a blessing. Yeah, because a lot of us didn't come into contact with authentic West African scholarship until later on down the line, which is very essential that you had that early on.
And you know something, my brother, that was all the difference between me possibly becoming an how would I say this? Anti-Zika, anti, you know what I'm saying? I could have taken another route.
Because you had that orientation early.
Yes.
You could have taken a more stringent position according to reformist movements coming from out of Saudi Arabia. I get you.
Yes, there you go. There you go. There you go.
I get you.
And that was that had a huge impact on me, because we got to the Imam's house, Allah Hamu. His name was Murtada.
Ah, mashallah.
So he gave me his name.
So okay, so you're named after him.
Yes.
Mashallah.
Yes.
So you're named after your first spiritual father.
Yes.
Allah.
Yes.
Allah.
Yes.
Mashallah.
Yes.
Mashallah.
He said we got there. Now he was a tall man, Doc. He had 4 stripes on each side of his face.
Oh yeah. He had the tribal marks. Yeah.
Yes. And he had 4 of them. So he was from in the Yoruba tradition. He was from a royal clan.
Yeah.
If I may.
Okay.
You know, but in any case, he said, okay, it was myself, him, and political peace father, brother Sharif Jamil Abdul Salam Soka Hotep, and the Imam said, okay, the Sheikh said, okay, go take a shower, and while you're in the shower, say in English, but I did the best I could.
Okay.
Got out the shower, bore witness, I took my shahada right there on the spot.
Mashallah.
And I bought, and from that point, the 3 of us, it was right before Asr. Okay. So the 3 of us, Imam was like, okay, we got to go make salat. And at the masjid, and he was also teaching Arabic classes.
Okay.
So we get to the masjid, and I'm like, wow. First thing I seen was the brothers in ruku, sajda, sujood. So I'm like, wow, this is deep. This is beautiful. I came up a Baptist, but this is deep. Who are they? I mean, for them to be prostrating, bowing these are businessmen. These are ballers. These are the ballers of their time, and they sitting down, like that.
Humbling
so I'm like, wow, this is humbling themselves.
Yeah.
So he gathered the community. You know how we do it.
Yeah.
I took my shahada again in front of everybody.
Okay.
And same day, I started learning my huruf al-hijaiyah. Same day. I mean, that day was a trip. Because I woke up somebody else and went to bed. Murtada. The name of the masjid was Ar-Razak, Masjid Ar-Razak. So I took on that name as my last name. So okay. Murtada Abdul Razak.
Mashallah. Okay. So Allah blessed you with Islam at what age were you?
16. 16.
Mashallah.
16. Mashallah.
SubhanAllah.
And then shortly after that, Political P came in from Detroit. Like 2 months after that, like a month and a half after that, he came in from Detroit. And he took Shahada in August. Actually, a month after that he came. And he took Shahada in August. So,
So from there, you guys, y'all was you two were rolling together real hard.
Yes, that was my big brother. No, although I was from an inner city, Providence was hot in the 90s. It still wasn't in Detroit. So I had, and then I was also not in that crowd, even in Providence, that on the block. I wasn't that type of brother. You know what I'm saying?
He comes to the fast track of Detroit. He looked at them dudes in Providence like they was moving in the slow lane. I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man, I can
imagine. So
what they doing? You know what I'm saying? What they doing?
You feel me?
Yeah.
And that's how it was. I mean, he was always down at any moment, ready, and I was the total opposite.
Yeah.
So I was like a newborn baby in a football field.
You guys balance each other out, okay? Like
yes,
okay.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And he was 6 years older than me, and he put me onto a lot of game at that time that I still I couldn't even process.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I was just too young, and I was a square. So it took me years to actually get out of that. Alhamdulillah, I'm actually glad that I was.
Yeah. Because you got protected from a lot of that.
Yes. Yes. There you go. There you go.
Realize is that actually being a square is very hip. You know, only if we but knew. A lot of us learn late, but it's already too late. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
square is hip, man. Yeah.
And
yeah, being a square is hip, man. That's for real. So, I'm looking at time. What we're gonna do is
yes.
we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna process this, and we appreciate
All right.
the time, Brother Muqtada.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to also getting with you a little bit later, in which we're gonna have another session, and we're gonna be chopping up some things that we are also having in the works. And
Yes.
as you brothers can see, this brother right here has made us a tremendous journey to Islam. We didn't even let him get into his situations as far as marriage is concerned, but hopefully in the future, that'll probably be the second part. And then we'll come from the process of him already being married, him already being Muslim, and then to his process as far as how he moved forward and started his life as a husband with kids and so forth, which I can imagine. That's, you know what I'm saying? That's going to be, because you took your Shahada 3 years after me. You know, I took mine. I took mine in 1990. Yeah.
Okay.
Mine in 1990.
Okay. So you were young too.
Yeah. I took mine in 1990, man, and it was just a lot going on back then.
Right.
Without further ado, like I said before, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna cut it. And we are happy to have you, my brother. Oh, this is good. And we're gonna have more content coming out from you and also your co-host at the Syndicate. Okay.
Yes,
and
sir.
Like I said, I'm gonna be coming on that side to collaborate with y'all. And hopefully, whenever you guys ready to have me over there, let me know, and I'm coming in, man.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me on, my brother. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All the time. We're going to have you on here more than once, brother, like I said. Okay?
No doubt.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, without further ado, ma'asalama. We love you.
Love you too.
MashaAllah. Thank you for listening and watching. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe, hit the notification button, and also share.